guys, welcome back to the Power Network. I'm Amy, and today we're doing a special edition of Highly Strange Days. We're revisiting the New Jersey drone footage. Do you remember the New Jersey drones in 2024? Well, word on the street is these drones were actually our protection, and the facility that operated them is shutting down in 2027. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Over on Facebook, I've been seeing ads for church safety programs, literally teaching parishioners how to prepare for upcoming alien disclosure. Then on top of that, videos and news reports start surfacing about secret government UFO meetings with pastors, and they're going viral. So you guys, is something really actually happening? Are we losing some kind of protection? And will 2027 be a total free-for-all? We're getting into it today. I'm going to roll the intro while the algorithm brings in the rest of the power crew. And shout out to my replay crew. Love you, babies. Welcome to Highly Strange Days. I'm Amy.
And I'm Shannon.
My neighbor Jennifer sits all alone. She dreams of flying up to the moon, and soon, and she thinks it's the perfect night for dreaming and make believing.
I think it's a perfect day to talk about UFO disclosure. Did anybody see all the disclosure documents that came out? I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago. I haven't gotten into it quite yet, but I have been seeing all of these advertisements over on Facebook and Instagram for parishioners on how to handle upcoming disclosure. And I thought, this is weird, this is interesting. It's on May 16th. I kind of want to go to it. It's like open to the public. But then I saw these other things starting to float around, talking about how there was this well, it was supposed to be a super secret church meeting where they were meeting with the leaders of churches and deciding what to do when disclosure happens. And I always say that Hollywood mimics what's actually, they have to tell us what's happening. And they do it through Hollywood. I don't know if you've picked up to that, but I have. And so Steven Spielberg has a new TV series coming out June 12th, I believe. It's first part of June, like almost getting into mid, but still kind of first. And it's Disclosure Day. And yeah, so right around this time, I've been noticing all these church meetings. And here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Has anyone noticed this? Let me share my screen. Right here. I've been noticing this ad a lot.
Is your church prepared for any threat? Hi, I'm Jenny, a regional training manager with USCCA, and I'm inviting you to the church safety training class to discover how to protect your congregation. We'll cover emergency planning, threat response, and securing your house of worship. This training is open to church security teams and anyone passionate about keeping their church safe. Click below to learn more and secure your spot today.
But you say, oh, Amy, that doesn't seem like that has anything to do with aliens. No, it doesn't, because they've changed it. They've changed it. Let me make sure the thing that I uploaded. Hold on 1 second. Let me get it up here. Okay, so luckily I screen recorded this I think it was about a week ago. and it's changed. Sorry, I didn't edit it. 1 second. I'm sorry. This is where they changed it. Did I take a screen? I didn't do more. This is where they changed it because it was learn how to protect your church and fellow parishioners from the upcoming alien disclosure. It said, you know, in the more, I find it there. Oh, no, it doesn't. It says, learn how to protect your church and fellow parishioners. Join the church safety class in Crystal River, Florida on May 16th. It's from the USCCA Northeast region. I went over to their YouTube channel just to see like who they were. And I didn't get a whole lot of information on them. Oh shit, I'm not showing it to you guys. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I'm not showing it to you. Here it is. Sorry about that. So you can see over here, it's from the USCC.
How to protect your congregation.
The USCCA Northeast region. Nobody's really saying anything. There's no comments or anything like that. I tried to share it to my stories and they made it so that you can't share it. And this was, I was noticing all this just before it leaked that pastors and people in charge, see here, it was created December 2024. So I believe they knew this was coming. I feel like they know whatever's coming, whatever UFO, whatever disclosure is coming. I think they've known about it for a while. And I was just kind of looking at the people that were liking it.
Okay, maybe I'm missing something, but I do not understand the hatred towards Erica Kirk. I was thinking if there's any...
Nothing. And then over here, I've been having a conversation. Let me get past that. Over here, I said, I mentioned to look to Hollywood, the Steven Spielberg disclosures. And then I mentioned this church, because they were asking, like, do you think that, does this mean that aliens update is dropping next week? And I meant like full disclosure. I think they're leaking it bit by bit, but I think the good stuff is still there. And I started talking about, when did I do this? This was, it just says 2 days ago. It doesn't give me the date, but it says, and it's to gather church leaders and how to protect their churches from upcoming dangers. And that's not scheduled till May, I mentioned. And then, so people are just talking about it. And I think like this is a real pattern. And then I noticed that we were getting these type of things coming out where secret UFO government meeting with pastors just went viral.
There's a massive UFO disclosure coming, and it was first revealed to a bunch of pastors. This is being reported by the Daily Mail. Also, it is being reported that FBI Director Kash Patel confirms UFO files have been delivered for release. Some people are saying that this could have been preemptive with Obama saying some stuff on a podcast a while ago, kind of a soft disclosure. These claims have led many people to be skeptical, particularly folks like Mike Winger. Pastor Josh Howardson said 95% chance this is not a thing. Even if it ever happens, it's demons. Laugh at me all you want. So that was his reply to this.
So that is the thing that they're getting. These pastors are this. I think they're trying to get the churches are trying to get their ducks in a row to explain disclosure to parishioners so that they don't lose all of their parishioners. So they're going to tell you that aliens are angels and demons. And that's what they're telling people. I saw over here, I did a search, and it's, secret UFO government meeting with pastors, UFO alien secret meeting, the truth. Let's see if this is a little bit better.
Right now, and we've had a number of videos here at CBN News that have done very well surrounding this topic. And obviously, one of the big things we've seen is a conversation about a private meeting that was held earlier this year with pastors and podcasters who were purportedly told some information really about what was going to come out, and really in an attempt to prepare these pastors to get their flocks to really be equipped for this information. Now, I had no idea that one of my friends was the person who actually organized this meeting. And so, Tony, how you doing today? Thanks for joining me.
I'm good. Thanks for having me. And I guess I'm good at holding secrets.
You're good at holding secrets. Well, it's interesting because you and I had actually been texting about a number of things and just catching up. And then this story broke. And when I was told that you were the one who organized this meeting, we've done a number of segments on this. We had Joseph Z on talking about his participation in the meeting. This has gone viral. Let's just start with, you organized this. Why did you organize it? Talk a little bit about the impetus for that.
Yeah. So what happened was I was in two meetings. The very first meeting I was invited to, and it was with a group of guys that I had established more than a year-long relationship with. And they are a private group of Christian intelligence operators. They operate independently, and they have spent a significant amount of time rubbing shoulders and networking into a lot of different sections of what you would call the disclosure community. And they, through their data and intel that they've gathered, they felt strongly compelled as Christians that the church at large is not prepared for what could possibly happen if certain things go certain ways with disclosure. When you're operating and you're gathering this data, there's a million probably different ways it could go, but it's certain ways it could go. They were very concerned about what the church's preparedness was with it. And so they invited me to a meeting, and I went to the meeting, and I invited some pastor friends of mine, and only one was able to go to that one. And so a couple weeks later.
So they had like a big meeting for all the leads in the church. And then May 16th and around Florida, it looks like there's another meeting. And they did put it for leaders of the church, but they mentioned that it's open to the public.
There was a conference that I was at, and I said, all my pastor friends were at this conference too. And so I asked them, I said, do you want to hold another meeting? And they said, yes. There was misconceptions that the government was hosting a meeting at an Airbnb in the middle of Tennessee. It was my Airbnb, and I was staying there for the conference, and people can even see the Airbnb on certain videos because I recorded interviews in the same rooms. So I did call the meeting, and the whole point behind it was to prepare pastors for the possibilities of what's to come with disclosure, so that they are ready for the hard questions that might come from their church. And we don't have all the answers.
The thing is there's this rumor that the pastor meeting allegedly told aliens invented Christianity, and the Republicans were hitting back. That was in Newsweek. So the rumor is, and in a lot of things that I've read, and alien abductions, people who have had contact with aliens, that there is a certain type of breed of alien that came down and mixed their DNA with our DNA, with the DNA of the creatures on the planet, which was us. And we were created. And this would be devastating for churches if people started believing that. I don't know what to believe at this point. But that's what's happening. Let me get us back to the other one.
Because we don't know what's coming, but just the idea that UFO, because there's a lot of pastors who do not pay mind to this. And the reality is it's coming. You don't have a say in it. It is going to happen. And we want pastors to be ready to be thinking in this light, so that when the questions come, they are prepared to give some kind of answer. Because the worst thing that could
Oh, I'm telling you, churches are starting to gear up. They believe that this UFO disclosure, and I really think it's going to hit us in June. I mean, they're doing a soft launch here in May, because, like I said, Steven Spielberg's. When does Steven Spielberg's movie or show hit? Hold on, let me do a quick look. When is Steven Spielberg's disclosure? I think it's Disclosure Day. Steven Spielberg's sci-fi film Disclosure Day. Yeah, June 12th, 2026. Let's take a quick look. I'll show you what. Oh, shoot. Hold on. What is this? It's like a thing within a thing. Let me get a better one. I'm not going to show it all, but that's what we're looking at for Disclosure Day. And I really think that they have to tell us, and they tell us through Hollywood quite a bit. They don't want you to go out there and explore what they've told you is an abomination of the devil. And if the devil doesn't exist, they don't want, anyway, they don't want you going back out there and exploring, you guys. Don't do that. No, no, no. So I don't know how basement level it really is, because when anybody tries to minimize stuff like this, I mean, I don't know. Back here, you know, you're getting report after report. You get it on Facebook. Oh gosh, that's so annoying. I'm so disappointed.
And he doesn't seem to clarify what it is in this thread, but my guess is non-human entity. The Earth has historically been a battleground for alien species. Over tens of thousands of years, exotic species have demonstrated magical, actually just quantum, ability to people of this planet to attain local godlike status. Think the Mahabharata in Hinduism. Some of this was for personal gain, whereas some were genuine sacrifice to teach people of this planet how to correctly increase quantum states to positive, what we call integer, flows. The repeated destructive flow was eventually stopped after a benevolent species laid.
Thank you, Marissa. That's really bummer because I felt like I had said some good things about what I was watching, but I'm gonna start it. I'm gonna bring it back to the beginning, because I really want you guys to hear this, because I think that I'm onto something here.
Information on UAP over the next 2 years as a gradual measure before the grand reveal. I want you all to be prepared for the eventualities here. Now, obviously, 2 more years, that leads us to 2027. I have 3 degrees in very high competence in algorithm design. I was directly involved in the autokinetic implementation of a European country's zero-point crafts. I have membership with multiple hard-to-reach agencies across Europe. Even then, I still know very little about the full zero-point capability of every single country that I've worked for. Recently, I was part of what is known as an NHE7 debrief, directly receiving communication from a being originating outside of this planet. This NHE has been in support of the human race for a very long time and will be leaving Earth soon to make way for what is coming. Very chilling. And NHE is not a term I don't think I've really heard before, and he doesn't seem to clarify what it is in this thread, but my guess is non-human entity. The Earth has historically been a battleground for alien species. Over tens of thousands of years, exotic species have demonstrated magical, actually just quantum, ability to people of this planet to attain local godlike status. Think the Mahabharata in Hinduism. Some of this was for personal gain, whereas some were genuine sacrifice to teach people of this planet how to correctly increase quantum states to positive, what we call integer, flows.
So what they're saying is that these aliens have meddled in our religions, and sometimes they have meddled out of a sacrifice for them so that we can learn a certain lesson, and sometimes it's been for nefarious reasons.
The repeated destructive flow was eventually stopped after a benevolent species laid claim to this planet and left behind an autonomous facility to regularly audit the planet for any outside interference. This planet has been under the protection of this ever-watching autonomous facility for a very long time. This is now ending due to the depletion of local resources, not just on this planet. It has been unable to print craft occupants for a while and has been gradually reducing the size of autonomous bots in an effort to maintain audit operations.
So my question was, in 2024, when we were seeing all of these drones all of a sudden, and they said they're running out of money, is it because they were running out of money that the cloaking, whatever cloaking device was on the drones, it came out, and then we all of a sudden started seeing these drones that were supposed to be there protecting us all along? And is that why we all of a sudden started seeing them? They were there, they were just cloaked, but because they're running out of funds, they can no longer do whatever they are doing to cloak it. Also, I thought the same thing with all those asteroids and comets that we were seeing right around when the war started. People were saying, well, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem normal. I think in like Ohio alone, we were seeing Bigfoots, and then we were seeing comets, and then there was actual like debris people were getting. And I just wonder if that's more of bots, drones, whatever was up in the sky from this facility being blown out, and like our protection is dwindling now.
I will only answer sensible questions. So this is the first sort of mention here. And again, in the famous 4chan whistleblower thread, they talk about a giant structure that can move itself around the Atlantic Ocean, that's enormous, can go at crazy speeds, that essentially prints and recycles these UAP, these craft and these orbs. And that sounds a lot like what this person is talking about here, that machine, that facility that's been making these things has actually been protecting us. Think maybe the Foo Fighters in World War II, the orbs in New Jersey. This person is talking about where all of these things have came from, and that it's actually been for our benefit. But in 2027, it's not going to be here anymore, or it's not going to work anymore. So let's keep going. We're going to read the things he's responding to, and then we'll read what he has to say. We won't read this one because it's just a bit of a weird comment, but we'll read OP. He says, I was warned I would get some schizo comments, but even reading this one weirded me out a bit. The threat is not about a nuclear weapon detonating directly. It's the weapon being allowed to detonate due to the lack of resources from our autonomous facility to stop it from happening. The Earth is about to be opened up to outside interference again in the most overt way possible. I don't know anything about time traveling or kidnappings or about a robot god. So to me, what I think about when I read that is like, Bob Salas, all of the accounts of Bob Jacobs, all of the accounts of orbs disarming nuclear facilities, taking missiles out of the sky. To me, this is like whatever it is that's been like preventing war and stopping all of this stuff. It's not going to be here after 2027. That's what this sounds like it's saying. And we're going to kind of be open to something else invading, or we're kind of going to be left to our own devices, which I think is maybe even more scarier. Someone else said, thanks for the warning, OP, and good morning. Do you believe in God? How do you understand religion on Earth given what you have come to know? And the OP says, I never used to. I was brought up and intellectual. I was very indifferent to religion later in my life, but recently I felt a strong change within myself, specifically towards the message of Christ. Personally, only the message of Christ encapsulates everything I think the average person should be working towards, and it has a very strong correlation with the NHE briefing I received. Whether this happened before or after I learned what I know, I'm unsure. I've worked with associates of the Vatican who seem to be under no illusion the autonomous facility was left behind by Christ. According to them, after the facility is broken and the planet is in crisis, Christ will appear again and restore protections on this planet. Jesus was apparently a high-status traveling being of another NHE species who placed multiple...
The Vatican is aware of what's happening, but the Vatican believes that once whatever this is, that this is when Christ will return. So people have been talking about this is the return. I mean, is it the return? And if it is the return, are you doing the Christ conscious thing? And will you be able to align with him in 2027 when this facility is no more and Jesus returns?
Protections on this planet. Through the autonomous facility, all reference to other civilizations who worshipped non-benevolent NHE were erased. It's interesting that they mentioned the Vatican, because the Vatican does seem to be caught up in a lot of this 2027, let's call it conspiracy stuff, right? You know, there's the whole prophecy of the last pope. I mean, that's not really a conspiracy. There does seem to be, there was only X amount of canvases on the wall in the Vatican, and this pope is the last one. Now, that could mean that when the next pope comes, they just make a whole bunch of new canvases and they start adding to them. Maybe that's the case. But also there could be something to it, because it's no secret that the Vatican knows a lot more than us normies are allowed to know. The next post, he's replying to someone saying, what is coming? When is it coming? How do we prepare?
I think there's stuff underneath the Vatican. I mean, I think people are living in Earth, so, or not just people, creatures and aliens and whatever. I don't know what to call them, because in that Lestat file that I told you, the Swedish file, the aliens said that they were here before us. So, I mean, aren't they the Earthlings then? I don't know.
For it. With the cessation of the autonomous facility, the planet will be open to outside interference again. I have been told it is as grand as receiving other civilizations across space. The problem we have are some of the species not having good intentions toward this planet. We are rich in life-giving resources. Most species run out of materials and have to plunder other planets, which we will have almost no defense to should to induce world-changing events. Okay, that's obviously a typo there. Like altering the electromagnetic field on our planet and opening us up to a cataclysm most of us wouldn't survive in, though the inbound species would. The common man cannot defend themselves against this, but with advancements in UAP technology...
You pick up inbound species, like whatever... And I just told you that there's a lot of aliens that would like us to nuke each other. We wouldn't survive, but the inbound species, the ones that are going in. And so we've got these data centers for those people. Do you think I'm reaching, or do you see a pattern here?
A select few will survive by habiting the other planets in the solar system. So basically, the people who are reverse engineering the UFOs are sweet. They'll just hop in the 8-gon, the big 300-foot 8-gon they were using with Michael Herrera in Sumatra, and they'll probably just pop over to Mars while that goes down. And then once it's finished, they'll come back and, we'll be at the bottom of the Pacific. Sorry, that was a bit unnecessary, but possibly. The next one he's replying to is someone saying, a real leaker would post on Reddit, not 4chan, fake. Obviously, a real deep, insightful, critical thinker here. I don't want to post on a website with such a strong set of identifying data on users. Anything from browser ID, HWID, IP could be fuzzy matched with one of my machines. I don't want that to happen. Why do you type like this? A full break with each new line? Are you sure you aren't a chat GPT? Because you read like a GPT. I'm not any Transformers model, though I did help build one of the biggest iterations of a Europe-owned Byte Latin model to try and decode some symbols given to me from an exotic craft. I'm not the best software developer, and the best people in the field are just flat out not working on this cutting-edge technology. Interesting. So this person's saying that they have tried to decode the symbols that seem to appear on the outside of UFOs, which is kind of something we hear recurring in a lot of the stories about these craft that have been retrieved or crashed. LARP would have worked better if you just said you're an atheist, buddy boy. I feel I'm closer to being an atheist than a real Christian. I've seen a cross on exotic material. NHE7 explained to us the cross is just symbolic of doing more than what you would normally do to raise the quantum frequency of this planet. It feels as if everything I've worked towards in pursuit of intelligence has just melted away in the past few years. The technologies behind zero-point crafts are not difficult at all. The average university physics chemistry lecturer across most top-tier universities in Europe could recreate the technology with the appropriate knowledge. I was directly involved with the construction of a zero-point craft using copper, not material non-native to this planet. What about the nobody? Is he incarnation of this savior? Genuinely wondering what the fuck you're asking me. I said sensible questions only. feel like that's probably a little bit unnecessarily aggressive, but that's okay. Wake up. The world is so stupid it doesn't deserve to change anything. I was where you stood to see if it could change the world. And then I realized it was a comedy loop disguised as tragedy. And the funny thing is that you and I used to believe it was real. I don't know if you're still there, but I'll tell you in advance that there are many people who also choose to stay silent and go out to observe. They don't have time to play these games anymore. If you're tired and bored, just go out and sit. There are still many empty seats. I mean, I think this response fits that question far better. But anyway, OP says, I believe in the human race. The incentive structure is all wrong and society is in a constant state of spiraling because of the lack of moral policing between common people. It's not a top-down problem. It's a bottom-up. It will take time, but I believe we'll get there.
Lack of moral policing everywhere. I mean, I'm having to take a break today because there's this situation where a content creator is going behind other people's back, creating false emails and socials and trying to manipulate people and going under different names and guises, and people are just willing, they're fine with it. They're okay with the lies because they feel like this lie is a smaller lie than the bigger lie at hand. It's like, but a lie is a lie.
If we are allowed to have enough time for that to occur. There will be a great cataclysm in the near-term future. The method of deployment does not matter. Certain European countries have been working with America to figure out how to prevent it from occurring at all. Very ominous. Everything will reset itself when everything reaches the point of stupidity. You don't need to do anything but wait for the right time to point out because they are stupid again. Then they will change and get better by returning to the origin and starting over. Okay, again, another comment that, like, to me doesn't make a lot of sense. But the OP says,
these don't make any sense to me. I hate these comments.
And seems to agree. What a dim-witted thing to say. The cyclical nature of the current problems faced by humans are almost entirely manufactured. Why should the average person go out of their way to contribute to their local community when the incentive structure is designed to keep them feeding ego? A promotion is just a new title with a bit of extra money to feed an infinitely increasing digital number, meaningless in the real world. Very deep comment and hard to disagree with what they're saying. If this technology wasn't held by a handful of small companies with highly effective military protection, people were quite literally killed following mutual agreements after working on these programs back in the 60s. There's no small wonder why certain American companies don't want this coming out. This planet would have an infinite energy source and non-capital parts of society, water supply, energy, etc., would all be solved. People would have the energy to solve problems between themselves when they're not concerned about how much money they're making. Ego would not be the driving factor. It would be knowledge and the ability to truly contribute to society.
Can you imagine what society would be like if we weren't going towards ego and money, but we were going towards knowledge and spirituality? Like the things that people call you a, for lack of a better word, pussy now, those would be the things that people were going for.
Instead of just pointless busy work to pay bills in a fabricated system. That hits deep. That one really hits deep. And it's so true. It's so true. I mean, everyone has heard.
We all know that they're keeping the energy from us. We shouldn't have to pay for our water and our electricity and the air we breathe and the land we live on, right? But we do. And yeah. Can you imagine if this was all taken away from us? Also, if it was all taken away from us, what would we do? We would have to go towards spirituality and wellness and making yourself better. Because if you wouldn't, you'd be bored and you'd destroy yourself. But can you imagine if you were allowed to just sit and do all your hobbies and everything that you wanted to do, and the food you were eating wasn't being poisoned, and the sun wasn't, like they told us the sun was evil and horrible for us, but it's actually what we need to live. It would be wonderful. Maybe that's what's happening. I always say things got to get a little dirty before they get cleaner.
The term the rat race, and I think we can all agree, and it resonates with all of us, that the meaning of life cannot be to climb a corporate ladder, spend 40 hours of your week, not including travel time, just slaving away at something, and just to earn enough digital digits to try and enjoy 20 hours of your week, and then the cycle repeats. I mean, just think just the numbers alone are just so imbalanced. That just cannot be what we're here for. I think that's just, you don't need to be like some woke spiritual guru to see that. This is just hello, what the hell is going on here? And ego would not be the driving factor. and made out and allowed to be made out to be like role models. Okay. I'm talking about like rappers and people who dress like promiscuously and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, I'm not like totally against that stuff. I enjoy rap music, whatever. Like that's all good. But the way it's platformed is wrong. Okay. Like adults should be able to enjoy adult entertainment and whatever. Like that's fine. But it's not like that. It's like kids are accessing this stuff and kids are thinking that is the way to be, and they're growing.
Well, not only that, the way that we have put children, we want to keep them as children, but we dress them up as adults and we sexualize them and we do all of these things, but then and we put all these things in front of them, but we say, hey, not for you. It's a lot what we do to kids.
Up through a time where their mind is not fully developed, and as it's developing under a mold that is shaping it in a way that thinks these things are not only acceptable but good and a way to be. Like, what do you think that is going to make the world look like in 10, 20 years when they are fully in their mid-20s and 30s? Because when you go back to like the early 1900s, the people who were, you know, idolized then were like Einstein, inventors, okay, people who made positive change to the world, who improved our life, not people with grills and face tattoos. No shade if you have grills or face tattoos, but I'm sure even hopefully you would agree that, you know, maybe Einstein is probably
That was shade, so let's just move forward.
periodically. There was definitely a breathing pattern, approximately one breath per 7 to 8 seconds. It sounded hoarse and tired. Very specific, oddly specific. But also the fact that this person was allegedly specific per 7 to 8 and a gentle NH. What that means? Never heard that word before. If anyone does, get unique. Let's keep going. What did NHE7 look like? Did it say anything truly unique? Prismata. I don't know what that means. Never heard that word before. If anyone does, get in the comments. Let me know. I never directly saw NHE7. We were full-faced, blindfolded before we got into the room. I could hear machinery and a gentle clang periodically. There was definitely a breathing pattern, approximately one breath per 7 to 8 seconds.
So I looked that up really quick, and it says Prismata, often searched as Prismata, like what I picked up the spelling that they did, is a unique hybrid strategy game created by Lunark Studios that blends real-time strategy, RTS elements, deck building. I don't think this is what they meant. Anyway, I don't think that's what they meant, but that's what I got.
It sounded hoarse and tired. Very specific, oddly specific. But also the fact that this person was allegedly in the same room as this non-human entity. Prior to the session, I was told
That's interesting about the breathing pattern, because just yesterday I saw a TikTok where people were asking, why do the elites have a unique breathing pattern where they will take in a quick breath through your nose and then it's a sharp exhale through your teeth. And this woman, it was like I think it was spooky, scary type story. She said that she was dating this he was a B+ A rated star, and all of his friends and he had a unique breathing pattern.
by one very elusive military senior who's Italian. The purpose of the session was to receive instructions on what to do going forwards and to be as open-minded as possible. There were 7 others with me. All of us had a silent understanding not to speak to each other or do anything erratic. I did not recognize anybody, and I did not ask what branch they belonged to. I remember experiencing a very distinct knocking noise as we were led into the room with NHE7. It wasn't in my ears. It was directly in my brain. The senior leading us kept telling us to be open-minded and not to be afraid. At one point, I was physically seeing the space around me while the blindfold was still on, in what seemed like an ultraviolet leaning colors. I knew exactly where to walk. We took seats opposite NHE7, who told us he's been waiting for this day for a very long time. His voice was almost my own, playing in what felt like my own brain. I was constantly shivering through this process. I felt a strange goosebump release before he would communicate. I saw the earth spinning, fire on the planet, great tsunami waves, and a light becoming incredibly bright in the sky. It made me physically put my hands up to block whatever was playing in my mind. His purpose was to ensure this planet would survive long enough for what was written. There was to be no interference in the growth of humans, for we were going to be measured on the lapse of protection period. A series of patterns played out in my mind, most of which I cannot link to anything yet, but have a very clear mental visual of. He said we were to propagate those ideas through the public. It's interesting that this person's saying that they...
It's really scary because they're saying that we're going to be measured I muted my mic so I could sneeze. I wanted to make sure I hadn't unmuted it. That they are measuring us on the lapse of protection period. So what type of humans do we become without that protection from the drones?
Never saw the being. Like, I wonder what the purpose could be. I've always said on this channel that, like, the difference between believing and knowing, you know, you might believe in greys or aliens or whatever, but to actually come face to face with one, even though you believe it, would make you probably shit your pants. And that's not just a saying. I actually mean your bowels would probably give out, because you would just be like, everything you've ever known has now just been thrown out the window. And maybe that's why.
This was like 8 months ago. I think more and more people are getting closer to that realization after the Epstein files came out, that everything we've ever known has been a psyop lie. And yeah, although there's some people that are living happily in denial.
They're blindfolded to allow the telepathic communication, but it's like a protective measure to stop them being just overwhelmed by what they're seeing. Survive long enough for what was written. What does that mean? Does anyone in the comments know what that means? There's been no interference in the growth of humans. You know, this sounds like what we hear a lot about. You can't affect free will. And we're going to be measured on the lapse of protection period. Now, does this mean, okay, so if we're to go with what they're saying, after this facility stops functioning and stops protecting the planet, that's when we're measured. That's when we're judged on who we are as people, good, evil. Am I reading that right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because if so, it's very interesting. I don't know if you're new here or not, but there is a debate about the possible event of ships appearing.
What I'm getting, that once the protection's gone, and what we do during this good and evil time is how we're going to be measured. I don't know if they mean individually or as a group. Will they wipe us out? You know, like if more of us are acting horribly, then anyway.
And offer salvation, and whether if getting on them is a trap or not. By the way you speak, you seem to be on the side of getting on them. But what are your thoughts if such a thing would to happen? Should we get on the ships if they appear and make the offer? I haven't heard of this, though I have been living on a military site for a while. I'm not sure, but I'll be actively thinking about this. I do not think we are supposed to leave this planet. We are the children of this planet and should be protecting it, as it has given us everything we need to exist. To me, it feels like it would be abandoning your mother during a warlike attack. I would rather go down with the ship, but in the face of whatever is about to come, it might be the case that even I would change my mind. Wow. Doesn't matter. Whitley Strieber talks of trauma on children being an evil worth going through for the psionic gifts. The more I dig into the Esalen Institute types, the less difference I perceive between them and Aquino tier monarch practicing cults. In fact,
it's like really easy to say that you would stay with the ship, but when, you know, like I've seen some old movies where I remember watching Braveheart at the very end where they disemboweled them and did all of that. And I just don't know if I could take it to those lengths or stay and live every single day. Like, what if the giants come back? And the giants were supposedly removed from us because they love to eat us. So what if the giants come back and you have to hide every single day of your life from giants not to get eaten? I mean, if I was offered a way out of here from that, I don't know if I wouldn't not want to take that. I mean, I do want to stay here and I love it, but yeah. Although I'm old, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to go through all that. Maybe I would just let them eat me.
they are one and the same. The Galactic Federation, Luciferianism, adrenalizes children just like the lizard freaks do. I look to Jesus and reject you.
Here
Wow.
we're hearing about the adrenalization. This was before the isn't this, when did the Epstein files come out? I can't even remember. It's been so long and nothing's happened. January 30th. So this was even before the Epstein files came out, and he's talking about how they like to adrenalize our children.
Very deep, dark comment there, talking about Michael Aquino, who we've covered on this channel, child abuse to spur on psionic gifts, which is actually something that Ross Coulthart just spoke about at Contact in the Desert, about some groups. I honestly have no idea who, and I was so surprised that Ross talked about this at Contact in the Desert, but he was essentially speaking about somewhere, it may be to do with like the gifted and talented programs. These kids are taken and abused to kind of create these psionic gifts in them. Yeah, that's what he was talking about at Contact in the Desert in front of a live audience. It's crazy. OP says, I was brought.
Be that every human being has a certain gift. Like most human beings are like really good at one of the gifts, like clairaudience or telepathy or stuff like that. And they calcify our pineal gland with the stuff that they put in our foods and in our beauty products and in our water, so that we're not able to develop those abilities. But some people, they're that good. And it's rumored that the GATE program that they had in a lot of schools, I was tested for the GATE program a few times. I remember being tested, but I was a weird kid because I've got a slight learning disability. It's like I can read at a high level, but my spelling is really bad. So I don't know what that is. And I'm a Gen Xer, so I've never been diagnosed anything.
Put onto the program via the GATE system in England. There you go. Your post reads schizo, but I am well aware of the psionic nature of these crafts. All quantum entities, what people describe as consciousness, is just the quantum wave having the ability to self-express. According to the NHE 7, we exist to maximize the calculation of this quantum wave to prevent overlap from other existing quantum waves. A positive quantum integer on this planet is for the net benefit of the cosmic field, leading to a future where we will be allowed to live. If we do not have a positive quantum integer, the population will be culled to prevent our quantum waves from negatively impacting the state of the entire quantum wave. Think of the quantum wave as a timeline, though not entirely accurate. This is super interesting because to me, this is basically saying if the majority of the people on Earth, our consciousness is turned into a negative, okay, people are looking at life through a negative lens. Think, people who are full of fear, anxiety, attacking each other for having a different opinion, listening to bots online. If these kind of people with these kind of attitudes and outlooks become the majority, then there's just going to be a reset. Because it's just like, okay.
It's terrifying because I feel like that's already happened. I feel like with what's happening, I was telling my friend today, whatever, there's a spell on this earth. And yeah, it's just a lot of negativity. It's hard to fight it. It's hard to fight it.
Hey, they've gone crazy. We can't fix it. It's wipe the slate clean. And why I find that interesting is because I've talked about on this channel how wherever you focus your attention kind of becomes your reality, because reality is obviously, there's so much to life, so many different things you can focus on, but one person can only focus on so much, right? We can only take in so much, I'm obviously very interested in the phenomenon, consumes a lot of my time because I'm digging into it. I couldn't name all the players in my favorite sports team because I don't focus on it, right? But there are people there who they walk around wearing their sports teams on their hat and their shirt, and they'll tell you all the statistics. So that's their reality. We're two separate people living in the same world, but having a slightly different experience of reality. So I find it interesting because it could literally be just a decision to shift focus away, collectively, of course, shift focus away from negativity to things that are positive, doing things that make you feel good, could literally just be the answer here. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are there other species here at this time?
Imagine, could it be that simple that just shifting your attention to positivity, just filling your body with goodness and cleanness and being kind to yourself and others is what makes all the difference?
For how long would we have to be on our own? Who is coming? There are many. I've read reports saying they have already set up shop to capitalize as soon as the protections have expired. Wow, that's kind of scary.
We did get that message or reported message from the Atlas, that Atlas comment that said, we're coming, fear not, we're almost here. Well, what does that mean? We're coming to save you, okay? Or destroy us, consume us.
Maybe that explains why we invest in weapons so heavily. The biggest investments in the whole world are weapons. Why? Would you happen to know more about this reveal? Will the government reveal to the people some good footage, or will the ET personally reveal themselves to the people? I want to answer this, but do not want to extrapolate. I don't think there are government plans for anything right now. I don't think they're in the loop at all. Please tell us more about this entity. What else did he say? Did he ever say what species he is? What country were you in when you spoke to him? What kind of company were you working for? And if it was a government, which one? Now, I'm actually just shocked that this person is assuming the NHE's gender. I mean, it is 2025. We just don't do that. OP says, I've detailed most above. The most important points have already been mentioned. The only thing I want to put out there right now is the implication of us effectively being naked for the first time in a very long time. I cannot begin to explain the terrifying nature of what I felt when I was shown the autonomous facility ceasing. It wasn't the disappearance that frightened me the most. It was knowing this incredibly powerful entity will no longer be watching us and protecting us from God knows what.
That's what terrifies me about, that we're not going to be, if this is true, that we won't be protected and what's coming in.
Say I spent a lot of time stationed in Italy and Germany. I cannot give any details on the rest. What do you make of the whole Tagetin disclosure story with the Irma? Now, I'm not familiar with what that is, but let's see what OP says. I don't know what rubbish you've been reading. Wow, okay, shots fired. But it isn't applicable to anything that's actually been stated in this thread. Okay, well, whatever the Tagetin disclosure story is, you can put that in the bin. Moving on. Can we please get anything to collaborate your information?
What was it? Because I want to know what that was. The Tagetin disclosure. Let's see what that is. Tagetin disclosure refers to alleged direct extraterrestrial communication from Tagetin Pleiadians, being primarily through transmission received by Goisa Dusak and relayed via the Cosmic Agency channel focused on aiding humanity's mental liberation. These messages suggest 12,500-year conflict, mentorship by the Galactic Federation, and liberation from 3D Matrix. Let's take a quick look at who that is. It looks like it's this guy. Does it have a video? Hold on. Have you guys heard of this entity, or I don't know what he? This isn't what I'm looking for, and I hate that music. See what this tells me more. I don't know who it is. Is this the Tagetin Pleiadian extraterrestrial disclosure contact? It's just, is it these people? Jeez, I don't know who it is, so I'm sorry, you guys. I can't quite figure out who it is, what it is. Maybe this. Okay, let's over on Rumble. I think it's this guy, the guy in the yellow. Yeah, I don't know what that is. It seems like it to me. What I'm picking up is it's an extraterrestrial. Did it? My browser stopped sharing again. Sorry, guys. Hold on, I gotta stop my browser. It just seems like it's somebody who gets like people. I've heard people say that like they channel people from the Palladians and stuff like that, and it sounds like it's just a channeled, and they're saying it's a joke.
Whatever the take it and disclosure story is, we can put that in the bin. Moving on. Can we please get anything to collaborate your information? No BS. I was thinking about posting my actual ID cards. Some have very unique military symbols on them, but I haven't made peace with that decision yet. Some people have reached out to me to publicize things appropriately with certain legal protections, but there's no such thing when you work in this field. What do you suspect might happen on 2027? I don't know about any concrete timeline, but the lapse of our autonomous facility is definitely happening soon. The evidence is basically pointing to imminent closure, with some of the crafts being released quite literally unfinished due to the lack of resources. There's a jellyfish UFO, which is quite literally an unfinished sphere type, lacking the capacity to completely cloak itself as other crafts do. Gravitational distortion plus out of human color spectrum light emissions. There are
So they're saying we're getting those. Have you seen those jellyfish? That's so fascinating. That he's saying that the jellyfish UFOs are unfinished from this facility. You can see them right here. Right over here. I don't know why, but my internet's going really slow today.
By journalist Jeremy Corbell appears to show a UFO flying over an American base in Iraq. News Nation reached out to the Pentagon and asked if officials would confirm the video's authenticity. They told us today that, quote, "We do not comment on the authenticity of alleged DoD material that may have been leaked. The Department of Defense takes the potential unauthorized disclosure of national security information."
So when did this jellyfish stuff leak? This was 2024. So they're saying that in 2024 that these jellyfish things are planes, or I don't know, what do you want, aircrafts from this facility that are unfinished, and they're releasing them and they're unable to hold their cloaking.
Spheres being released that barely have the ability to propel themselves. Never mind any ability to cloak and gather information. It wouldn't surprise me if all of this is projected to happen in 2027. Wow. That's actually a crazy statement. Okay, there's a lot here. First of all, the jellyfish, which is quite often an unfinished sphere type, lacking the capacity to cloak itself. So OP here is saying that the jellyfish UAP is essentially a sphere, and the reason we can see it and the reason why it looks weird is because it's not finished. It's not complete. You know, it seems crazy to say that kind of makes sense when we're talking about this kind of stuff.
I wonder what it would look like if it were complete. Would it have those jellyfish things, those tentacles hanging down? I mean, obviously it would be able to cloak itself fully, but I wonder.
But I mean, it's an answer I could listen to. I mean, who else is providing answers out here? No one. This was interesting, though. This is certainly interesting. And this one as well. There are spheres being released that barely have the ability to propel themselves. Now, when you look at the videos that have been coming out of Colombia recently of orbs that are propelling themselves in ways that we can't explain, but they're not quick. They're just kind of like, they more look like they're floating rather than the normal, you know, darting or bullet out of a gun that we would associate with UFOs. Very interesting. I agree. I would be unable to leave people behind. A lot of people are taught to hate and not taught to learn. At this point, they would not be able to choose correctly, even if they wanted to. The secrecy has led to more problems than I think could have been foreseen. Humanity as a whole would benefit from more teachers, not gods and not prophets. OP says, yes, I agree. This measure of secrecy has quite literally caused the downfall of all of humankind. The generation currently aged 50 to 90 have almost entirely destroyed the prospect of long-term survival. Wow. And I think that age group absolutely encapsulates people who would have been making the decisions in the 50s, the 60s, would absolutely be falling into this bracket. And that is allegedly when all of this stuff went beyond.
I would dare say the people in their 60s and above, because I don't think Gen X had a real say in this, you know? I think that, yeah, but there are a lot of Gen X that are very boomerish, so.
Top secret. Beyond top black secret, deep underground. That's when this stuff got locked away, and it's never seen the light of day since. Chilling and tragic, if this statement is true. Tell me the evidence you have of the facility closing. How familiar are you with other leaks? There have been some big leaks about this facility existing in the Bermuda Triangle. Tell me the most convincing thing you have physically seen yourself. How do you know you aren't receiving a psyop? Okay, so this person is obviously referring to what we've been talking about, the other 4chan whistleblowers who have spoken about this mobile construction unit or this facility that seems to be the source of the phenomenon in a way. The evidence can be seen in now declassified images of some of the crafts themselves. You'll see how more of them fail over time and come back to this post to validate new information. That's exactly what the OG 4chan whistleblower said. And it's been true. As time has gone on from that, what they've said has been coming to light. The facility had to use a lot of backup resources during the New Jersey drone encounters to protect this planet from an imminent threat. The orbs that were seen above America that day were scanning for the hostile NHEs and their crafts. I'm not familiar with many other leaks, but before making this post, I did give it a quick search. The one I know to be very real is the Bigelow 2009-2010 leak. Most communication to America via European counterparts occurred through that company. I physically handled exotic material and built algorithms to have the crafts move in autonomous ways, i.e. intercepting a missile or avoiding collisions on a somewhat randomly instantiated route. The crafts we can build are hybrid digital quantum in their mechanistic functions, whereas the ones truly exotic are 100% quantum. I do not entirely understand how communication occurs to these crafts using ordinary waves. I've always known gravity to bend space-time, but the quantum element here enables us to imprint an intent on the craft itself to accept certain rules, which almost bypasses laws of the universe as we currently understand them. Wow. Dude has no OPSEC. Security is an illusion. Almost every single thing you do on the internet can be audited regardless of your ability to spoof and run stacked virtualized containers inside of distributed private virtual networks. People just don't have the time to open that can of worms. Got another comment here, which is quite big, and another one, and they said, I'll respond to these comments soon. And this seems to be where that response is. Charles S. at the start. Again, I'm not sure what that means. I'm not American, born in England, but spent almost all of my years across Europe. I have been to America.
I think these are their screen names. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
For a number of reasons associated with my work. There is no purpose to the Earth having been a battleground for other species. According to a report I read in a classified setting, no alterations beyond first iteration, on a species benevolent to the planet in order to maintain their quantum field as positive as possible. They have to banish the people from their societies who sometimes set up shop on another planet for their own purposes. Earth was just in a state of growth, enabling some NHEs to effectively do whatever they wanted to an emergent population with no knowledge of quantum fields. Some of these cases have resounding implications to this day. It's quite literally a case of an exotic species just here for their own leisure until another species, benevolent, discovered what was happening here. Like, to me, that just sounds like, poachers in Africa.
Well, I've been doing some reading, and there's the reptilians, but there was this other species who's still here, but they were driven underground, and they're the ones that really like to eat on us, and they don't like us, and they're the serpents. And you see the serpents coming up in cave drawings, and we get some statues, and they are the ones that I think he's talking about.
Somewhere deep in remote Africa, there are poachers just killing elephants for their tusks and just kind of doing whatever they want because they can. But it's not until
they don't like us. And there was also this conversation that I heard between a human and an alien, and they were really fascinated with our love of animals, because whenever they go to any new planet, they just kill the animals because the animals can kill them, and they don't even want to waste their time on them. So do they consider us animals too? I wonder if they would just kill us, that species, the benevolent ones, not the benevolent ones, the ones start with an M, the benevolent ones.
Some type of animal conservation or wildlife protection agency steps in and is like, what are you guys doing? Okay, you can't just farm and kill this species for their tusks. And
so that snake species was doing that to us, and it's reported that the tall whites, the really pretty ones, came and said nay, and those are supposed to be the ones. This is in the Swedish Lacerda files that I keep referring back to the 1999 files, that these are our creators, and they stopped those creatures from doing that to us and drove them in underground, put this protection on us, and the protection is supposed to be ending soon. They have not, our creators have not been back in a very long time. They were coming back, but they haven't seen them in a very, very long time. I even talked to AI about this, and I'm like, where did they go? And AI was telling me like and from what he can pull, it can pull, nobody, there's no word on where our creators are. And I was like, does that mean that they got like caught in an interdimensional war or something? And AI was like, it's possible. It's possible they're coming back and they're going to destroy you too. Like the experiment's over because they've done it 7 other times in the resets.
Energy, there are rules here. So it's not until that intervention comes that this happens. As above, so below. It's not just technological strength. Some of these beings can quite literally imprint thoughts into you, expand the capacity of your brain to see with a blindfold on, and much more. It's quite literally the ability to manipulate what we know as space-time using nothing but their own thoughts. NHEs differ vastly in their requirements for continuity. Everything is still a resource game. There's no such thing as a perfect exchange, but we can get fairly close to it. The ability to collapse space-time in front of a craft to accelerate to hyperspeed actually takes very little resources, but extrapolate this to human purposes to understand this approach. Would somebody want to travel in the first place? The real value is in the extraction of life, specifically the ability to gain further understanding on why this grand algorithm we call life has propagated in its way throughout the cosmic quantum field. It's not just in humans, but in plants and atomic structures too. All quantum fields have a signature. The expression of our planetary quantum field is the culmination of every single imprint of life on this planet. It includes everything from flowers, insects, to macro entities as us humans, with a caveat of our thoughts also participating in the projected equation. We are not the skin we see on other humans, but instead we are the culmination of the macro processes where micro entities, cells, and atomic structures interact with the cosmic field instantiated design patterns with a variability factor of the brain expressing itself as the primary organ of the quantum field. This way, humans fit the design pattern of the universe while still being able to contribute to the state of the quantum wave. Okay, I genuinely think I can keep up with a lot of this stuff pretty well, and although
that went over my head, I hope he explains what he just read, because that went over my head.
I might not always comprehensively understand what I'm reading, I can generally understand it enough to kind of get the idea of what's being explained. This part lost me. And
let me try to do it. We are not the skin we see on other humans, but instead we are the culmination of the macro process where micro entities, cells, atomic structures interact with cosmic field instantiated design patterns with a variability factor of the brain expressing itself as the primary organ of the quantum field. This way, humans fit the design pattern of the universe while still being able to contribute to the state of the quantum wave. We are what the universe needs us to be. Is that what it's saying?
Honestly, could just be a whole bunch of words. Could just be a whole bunch of big words linked together.
If you guys understand what that means, I might put that through AI. I wish I could cut and paste it and get it through AI.
But also it could not be. And I'm sure there's somebody much smarter than me watching this who can clarify this for us in the comments. So please go ahead. Think of it.
Let's look. Maybe someone did in his comments. We're living in a perpetual psyop. Yeah, that about wraps it up. I think that sums up what they just said. I don't see anybody explaining it. The illusion of scarcity pisses me off. The elite Corporations have been preying on us since the Industrial Revolution. Yeah, this illusion of scarcity is pissing me off too. It's sickening and only getting worse. Money is truly the root of all evil. The money, power, control paradigm needs to be smashed. I hope that happens. I hope we don't go through the reset. But okay, let's get back into it.
As an infinite number of builders and road workers. Okay, here we go. See, analogies, simplifying things with analogies. This is what I like. Building a continuous road in front of them. Instead of using any form of aggregate, the fuel for this is the variability and macro signature of every single builder on the road. More expression is directly proportional to the size and length of the road. In parallel to our road, there are other roads trying to occupy as much space as possible. Two roads cannot collide without one inheriting the state of the other road. The greater the positive state of the quantum wave, the stronger the overlapping process is. This quantum wave process is not happening in three-dimensional space and is pioneered by a select number of high integer NHEs who ultimately decide which field expressions should exist for the greater continuity of the quantum wave. You can think of this as almost competition between quantum waves. The wave which has the strongest positive state wins over the other waves. Our future continues while the losing quantum wave is ingested and energies recycled for deployment for new variability calculations, for the inevitable overlapping with the future quantum wave, etc. God, this is mind melting, but I think I understand what it's saying. It sounds like to me that there is a group of higher integer non-human entities, okay, so beings or entities that exist in a higher dimension that are able to influence us through in what we would call maybe spiritual warfare, okay, or some kind of consciousness affecting energy. And that ultimately the most positive consciousness and positive outcome is always the most favorable one. And that one will always be chosen to win over other states of energy. And if I'm just trying to put the rest of the thread together with that little bit there, it sounds like perhaps that the highest positive state that we have is not good enough for the longevity of this consciousness field. And therefore the only options are reset, start again, game over, or something needs to happen to spur a giant lift in that consciousness field to create better or more positive states or roads for the greater continuity of this quantum wave. I don't know. Don't take what I'm saying as fact because I'm digesting this and trying to figure it out just the same as you. This sounds incredible. Is this the hidden truth that the public should not know? If the truth is this abstract, why not just tell the public and have people start being good to each other? It's a great point. I think the hidden truth is more about our capabilities with 0-point energy. Nobody should be paying for bills right now. We can close shop on the entire energy and industry complex. No more drilling for oil, no more paying for electricity or water. Also, I know certain American companies previously forced scientists to sign death waivers in exchange for effectively infinite support for their families. Dude, what was the threat? I don't know the specifics. I just know that it was.
I wonder if this is a generational thing. Like, did you set? I've heard contracts that go like, I've seen in some movies recently, like in China, you can have your whole family wiped out. You can do one bad thing, and then your grandkids are wiped out because of what your grandfather did. So did they sign a contract, a scientific contract, and do they keep people in line by saying, if you don't do this, you know, your grandfather signed this and we can take you out?
It was an event which forced the facility.
The world's getting crazy, so
to expend most of its remaining resources. It would not surprise me if it was purposely calculated event to force the cessation itself. Someone says, so was consciousness life imitated on this planet when the bad NHEs arrived? Or in other words, did their consciousness trigger ours by the mere presence on Earth? Also, did their malevolent consciousness add to why humans are partially malevolent or evil? Or is that just the basic nature of consciousness? This is a good question. Personally, I have no idea, but I'm aware of the Vatican holding an archive on the history of all religious experience on this planet. If things were sprung into motion then, I would imagine it would be in the collection of documents. Someone says, the only thing I want to know more about is the meeting with the ALMAO. I'm assuming they mean alien. It's weird 4chan people. OP, what happened? Where did you meet it? He says, we went through a corridor into a very large elevator. It was almost spotless. Even the button sounded a satisfying click when I saw the senior press the button. We went down for what felt like 5 minutes. I remember the 20-30 seconds had passed. There was a nervous laugh in the elevator. We must have been incredibly deep. We felt the air get hotter very quickly. We entered a large open space. There was a large metallic table with large, almost bear-sized scratch marks on one side and papers on the other. It was through another room here. We were blindfolded. That just felt weird to me. I don't know. This paragraph It kind of pushes my sus detector a little bit. But let's continue. UAP is a total sleight of hand. It's not where the true power lies. If the implication here is UAPs being product of development on this planet, I can understand. During my main project onboarding in Germany, I saw a classic UFO saucer with the swastika on it. I think this technology has been solved for a while. We might be the remainder civilization trying to play catch up. My last post for a bit. I need a break. I things to sort out. Wow, what an absolute place to, what a cliffhanger for this person to leave us at. The person hasn't done any more replies yet. Like I said, this is a pretty fresh post.
I had myself muted. Yes, I have heard about the Soviets, not Soviets, the Nazis having UFO technology during the war, but they were doing a lot of dark stuff, a lot of satanic stuff. So, what do you guys think? Do you think that the New Jersey drones, we were seeing them because they were becoming uncloaked, the technology was no longer working, and that now we are in danger because we are no longer being protected by that facility? And do you think that that's the reason why the churches have decided to have those meetings to warn their people about how to protect themselves in the upcoming alien disclosure? We heard J.D. Vance and other Republicans think it's aliens and demons coming, but this is saying otherwise. But it is saying that you need to tap into your Christ consciousness or whatever goodness you tap into within you to raise your vibration so that Earth can, that we can raise the vibration on Earth, because if we can't get it up to a higher vibe, then they're just going to reset us and say bye-bye. But I do think also, what do you guys also think about my theory about the data centers? Do you think that they're building all of these data centers because people are they're starting to go underground? 2027 is right around the corner, you guys. And we know all of these elites have, we had the fires in Hawaii, and then all the elites started building their bunkers in Hawaii. We know Oprah has one, and Zuckerberg has one, and now all these fires are happening in Florida, right where they want to put the data centers. So I think I'm onto something there. Okay, guys, I'm going to head out. Thanks for being here. Let me know what you think about all this. If nobody's told you this today, I don't care. I'm still going to tell you guys this. I love and appreciate you so, so much. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button on your way out and share. Today we came to you on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Bye, guys.